everybody, and welcome to the Absolute Football Podcast, absolutely non-league, the show dedicated to everything from the Vanarama National League, Vanarama National League North, and the Vanarama National League South. And for today only, the FA Trophy Final. We've got a very happy Chappie here as well. We will get onto that a little bit later. Chris as well. Chris is in the chat. Good on you, Chris, for coming in. But before we go into that, Ben, my friend Ben, one of my bestest friends, Ben, who I thought you fell out with me, but you've not fallen out with me. How are you and how's your week been? Well, how's your Monday been?
We've not fallen out yet, Shah, don't worry, but we'll keep that later on. yeah, all good. Yeah, no, it's now starting to get real now, with the playoff final at the weekend. So nerves are starting to get to a few of us, I think. But all in all, hopefully the week goes smoothly and we can look forward to an exciting weekend for the club. So yeah, apart from that, we're all good.
Glad we're still friends. Honestly, I was panicking. I was like, please don't hate me, Ben. Morgan, I know. How are you and how's your Monday been? I keep going to say week and it's only Monday.
No, I'm good. I think I was saying it to another York fan on Twitter earlier. With the playoffs, I'm just in a bit of an ignorance. There we go. It's bliss mode. I'm just kind of ignoring it. I can't get nervous if it's not happening. I don't know how, Ben, you've coped with it because I'm just completely ignoring the playoffs. It's going to hit me the day of that semi-final. But for now, I'm just like, whatever. It's not happening. I've got over a week. I've got my ticket. Just relax. Just completely ignore it and let it happen. So, no, I'm in quite a good mood, just ignoring football, just relaxing, forgetting about it for another week. And then, yeah, I'll let the anxiety hit me next week.
I'm glad you are because I'm bloody nervous. Like Dale put a tweet out today saying you can still get your tickets, and I felt sick. The only thing I'm looking forward to at the minute is my pie. That is literally, it's going to be my last pie of the season.
Oh my God, yeah, it is.
I know. I might ask them if I can take some home to freeze.
You've already got it thought out.
I know. Lee, how are you and how's your Monday been?
Yeah, not bad. It's after a busy weekend of 3 cup finals that I've been at this weekend. So, yeah, it's nice to, be back at work and now just on the pod and relaxing tonight.
Love that. And last but not least, the big smile. We will get on to that. Do you know what, Rob? How are you? How's your Monday been? And how was yesterday?
Yeah, the Monday, I'm not going to lie, it's really surprised me. And anyone who's ever had a really, really big high will probably recognize this. I've been absolutely drained today. Yeah. I've been in a daze. And I'm not a drinker, by the way, so that's not a part of it. It's just been incredible. But it couldn't have gone any better than it did on the pitch, in the stands, in the commentary box. The sun was out. Literally everything went so well, and even like the after party and everything else at the Green Man, and it was just amazing. We'll come to the game, of course, in a bit, but then this morning the brutal reality of a really early alarm call, a train back straight off the train to work. I'm self-employed. I do a few delivery-based jobs, and it's been actually quite tough just getting to this part of the day. I sat down and eaten about half an hour ago with my son. He's just got back from Vegas, and now this is my chill hour now with you guys.
We've never been called chill, have we, Ben? Like since being together on the pod. So
opposite, if anything.
I know. Then again, I always say this is the sophisticated podcast of them all. Like compared to the EFL lower league, where we all know with a rowdy rabble, that is our nickname. This is nice, chill, and sophisticated. I'd say posh, but I'm on it, so it's not posh. But of course, it's not just us. We've got some lovely people in the chat. We've got Graham. Good evening, Graham. We've got Luke. Ori, everyone feels nice to sit back and not have to worry anymore. Oh, bless you. Oh, Chris as well. Good evening, all. Massive well done to Aldershot yesterday. well done on your reward as well, Chris. We'll talk more about it after. With Sean, hope you're okay. Graham again, glad you both tried off. We have. There's still time yet, Luke. I'm really surprised you didn't nominate me for the Ice Bucket Challenge. There's still time. Point out any mistakes on any graphics and you're all in for. We've not got graphics tonight though, so don't worry.
We'll wait till December for it.
I know. Yeah.
Make
We'll
it really good. In Beast of the East are coming back.
We'll do it in winter. Or as well, yeah. Also, rest in peace, Barry Johnson, the son of Ryan, the goalkeeper, came on in injury time. In the second half, I only found out after the game that Ryan lost his father, Barry, 48 hours before the trophy game. I know, such sad news. And then Chris has put, thank you so much, Graham. So, let's talk the FA Trophy. Rob, I will let you go first. How was it?
In terms of the occasion, just beyond our wildest dreams, just to get to Wembley was amazing. I'm sure Chris will say the same. Of course, Spennymoor did get there 12 years ago and they won the FA Vase, so they knew what it was like to go there and they knew what it was like to win. But nobody that supports Aldershot has any depth of experience of that because it's never happened. 99 years old club, new club. And I think we've all been blown away by just how much support we had. We sold over 18,000 tickets. I've not seen an official number. There was quite a few in neutral zones as well. So it may have been closer to 20,000. The overall crowd was 38,600 for the day, which is wonderful. The sun was out. Everything went so well. The atmosphere outside was really good with the Spennymoor fans. I had a lot of conversations down Wembley Way with supporters of both sides, and I was very much taking the line. I'd got my head around the fact that we're here, we're going to enjoy this occasion, and it's down to the players and management to try and win that game of football. But I was not going to let it affect me whether we won or lost. And I don't know if Chris, who's obviously listening, got himself in a similar vein of mind. I don't know. Spennymoor negated Aldershot really well in the first half. I think it was poor, the first half as a spectacle. Yeah. It wasn't. I'd say 2 weak shots on target each. That was it. But the game came alive for Aldershot 3 minutes into the second half. James Henry getting down the right. Jack Barham just getting in the right place at the right time. I think the ball as much hit him as he hit it. I know Ben's a big fan of Super Jack. And he's a big fan of doing things on the big occasion. He got the hat-trick against Swindon in the 7-4 in the FA Cup last year, and he scored a wonderful goal against Bradford City in the FA Cup this year. Dan Ellison, who's on loan from Bristol Rovers, he's been with us half the season. He scored finally his first goal for us, and what a place to get your first goal. It doesn't get much better. Those three centre-backs for Aldershot are, I think, 19, 20 and 21. They're all on loan. They don't have an experienced player around them. They've had to do it themselves, which is why they've been on the end of a few lessons in recent weeks, but they kept a clean sheet on the day. And then Josh Barrett put the cherry on the ice.
Love that guy. Love
with
that
his
guy.
19th goal of the season. And huge credit to Kwame Thomas, by the way, for an absolutely gigantic leap to head the ball in his path. He told me last night, Kwame, that he heard Josh run into the left of him and shout for it, and he just got up, won it, and then it sat beautifully for Josh. But you've still got to finish it, haven't you? And it's just every time you see the goal, it looks better and better.
It does. I was just going to say that. Like, I saw it, and it was one of the moments where I kept watching it like, wow. Like, to do that goal anyway, but to do it at Wembley as well, it was like, wow. And just seeing, like, all the fans, it was amazing.
It was just, it was almost a little bit surreal. I loved being able to commentate on the game for the BBC. I just felt a bit trapped at the end once the full-time whistle had gone.
Yes.
Normally I'd round up my commentary and I'd get pitch side with my phone, but we had a team of people there and that wasn't my role yesterday. So that was difficult. The 20, 30 minutes after, I wanted to run round, jump, scream. I wanted to flail my shirt around my head like Theo Widgerton was doing. I did feel a lot for Spennymoor. everybody says the same thing. It's lovely to get to Wembley. It's not a place to lose. It's a lovely place to win. My heart goes out to Ryan for losing his father. And I love the stories in the build-up. One that didn't come off on the day was Glenn Taylor's 35th birthday. Over 200 goals in 300 games. But the plight of the managers, Tommy with his own health and the strokes and coming back to lead his team out of Wembley, that's a brilliant story. And Graham Lee saying that anything he did and his team did wouldn't even match up to what his wife does day and out, just to still be around with a rare type of brain cancer. So there was some lovely stories around it. As far as I know, good feeling before the game, after the game, no trouble. It was Aldershot's day, and maybe another year it'll be Spennymoor's.
Love that. Chris, as well, if you are in the chat and want to send in your views on it, please do. Ben, did you catch any of the game? Oh yeah, Lee were there as well.
Yeah. I was there for both games. Yeah, I sort of agree with Rob. Like the first half was. Spennymoor really sort of honed in on Aldershot the first half, and I think come the second half, I think Aldershot sort of might have had a bit of a talking to, and then they came out, and as soon as it kicked off, it was all Aldershot.
Yeah, I think I didn't get to catch much of it. Yes, I mean, well, first things first, I wanted to say congratulations to Whitstable Town on winning the FA Vase because for ex-player Jamie Coyle, legend at the club for us, and a few of our ex-players, Nathan Jekke, Joe Healy, Will Thomas, great for all the ex-Maidstone players to win that. First Kent side to do it in 25 years, so really pleased for them. But for Aldershot, look, I think they needed that, to be honest. I think obviously it'd been building up, I think, from the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season where form had started to dip, and they've got their eyes on Wembley. The players probably didn't want to get injured, which you could totally understand. But I saw the goals.
Out of contract as well, Ben. Only 7 contracted for next season. So yeah,
exactly. Wow. So that's the thing. You feel like some of them might be their last game, and that they might get a play for Aldershot. And what better way to do it, at Wembley and win under the Wembley Arch as well. And obviously, my love for Jack Boreham is quite clear. Like, I'm really pleased for him. It's funny because his last kick of a football at Maidstone was a penalty miss and knocked us out the FA Trophy against Barnet a couple of years ago in the quarter-final stage. And then obviously he's come up and scores, the opening goal at Wembley. But so pleased for him, from where he's come from, from the lower ranks of non-league all the way up sort of to the top. We all knew he was capable of it. And, to do that in front of like a massive following, to be fair, I must say fair credit to the amount of Aldershot fans that went. I know it's the first time they've been to Wembley, but that following was absolutely fantastic. And brilliant for, for non-league, because that's the thing. 38,000, obviously, I know includes all the, ones from the Vase final as well. But again, it just shows that non-league is right on the up at the moment, and everyone does take into finals day. But again, like I say, Dan Ellis as well getting a headed goal. I know a few Chippenham people that we're really gracious of that, because obviously spent a bit of time there, and then obviously Josh Barrett scoring a hell of a third goal, and that that's a dream come true for to score a goal like that in any game, but in a cup final, it's absolutely brilliant. So absolutely fair credit to Rob and everyone at Aldershot, because that they fully deserved it. And after what's been a fairly up and down season for them, they can finish it the best way possible. And those players that go away on holiday, or whether they stay on next season, they can enjoy their summer now, which is brilliant for them.
That's a really good point, Ben. Just sorry, Shah. Just really
30
seconds. Just want to embellish that. They did need it as a club, as a supporter base. They really needed it, because Aldershot is one of those teams that has gone bust and started again, and they got the 5 promotions in 17 years, and they became a football league club, and it only lasted for 5 years, and they've been now the longest serving team in the National League. So you speak to anybody who's the age of 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. The one remaining dream they had was to get to Wembley. They'd been a football league club. They got back to the football league. We may or may not ever get back there again, but it was Wembley. It was everybody's bucket list item. And now we've ticked it off. That's it.
I love that. Just quickly going to the chat, obviously, Chris put on Sunday, I was actually pitch side at Wembley Stadium. That was freaking unbelievable. And I kept pinching myself that I was so close to the pitch seeing my team play for the second time. I love that. I love those moments. Morgan, did you catch any of the game?
Yeah, I did. Watch the FA Trophy final, and I agree with what people have said. The first half was a little close. Obviously, Rob Ramshaw should have finished that chance. That counter attack for him, Spennymoor, it was a really good one. Obviously, flicked it past his man in the first half on the breakaway. He should have finished that. I was saying to my dad who I was watching with, either you put it in the corner and the keeper don't get that, or you just hit it with some power. It goes straight above the keeper. It's 1-0, and it completely changes the game. It was a great counter-attack, and it wasn't a great first half. It was pretty even. That was the chance for Spennymoor. That should have been it. And then, as you said, the second half, they just came out really quickly. Ollie Dyson, I know Chris just mentioned him in the chat, loved by York fans when he was here, loved by Spennymoor fans, just beaten at the back post. And Ollie Dyson's a bit of a weird one, because when he was at York, he was played at centre mid for a bit. He was played at right back, right wing. He was played everywhere because he always gave 100% effort. And you could tell he wasn't the most technically gifted, and you could kind of see that with that goal. He lost his man at the back post, and Boreham took it well, but it, as Rob said, it kind of hit him as much as he hit it. It wasn't the best defended, and I do feel sorry for Ollie Dyson because he's a young lad. He got promoted with Barrow. He came through the Huddersfield Academy. He's kind of struggled with York, obviously loaned out when we're then flying, and you could tell he's not good enough to be in this York squad. So I do really feel sorry for Ollie Dyson. But Aldershot, that second half was just really professional. The header for the second goal and that Josh Barrett goal, wow. I know every time you watch it, it looks better. I don't think anyone hits a ball better than that at Wembley.
No.
Like, it falls to him. And the header by Kwame was excellent. But the way it falls to him, he strikes it so perfectly. That's dipping. No keeper's touching that. He's a full stretch and it just dips over him. It's like you're not going near it. It's a brilliant, brilliant goal. And with it being so late on, it's the icing on the cake. And you just as a Spennymoor fan, you just kind of shrug at that point. It's like, if that's how we're going to lose it, that's how you're going to lose it. It was a brilliant, brilliant goal. I know Ben, you also touched on the FA Vars final. I don't know if anyone saw the winner in that game. That was a really good finish too. From Sitola, I think it was. Just he did well, and then it came to him, just leapt it into the top corner. It was a final settled really by two excellent goals. So yeah, it was a great day out for non-league. 38,000 there, good crowd. I don't think the Wembley camera did it the best angle. I don't know if anyone else watching on TV, but you can see large amounts of open space, and it just on the TV it doesn't look great. If they panned it another way, you could see the 18,000 Aldershot fans plus then everyone else that was there. I don't think TNT did it justice. I think the fans obviously did, but I don't think the TV camera did it justice. It looked great, but at the same time, it could have been done better.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, because like the camera angle actually was quite similar to I think they had when they first opened Wembley. Because I'm pretty sure I remember when we started watching international games and FA Cup finals, it was quite like I said the level that we was at yesterday. So no idea why it wasn't lower like it usually is, and that's the I think you're right. I think watching the coverage, obviously, I know that the TNT haven't got the rights to the National League anymore, and it's quite. But you'd think they've got presenters for it as well, because it seems a bit unfair to probably just put it on the commentators to do. It seemed a bit amateurish a little bit to me, and like I say, it's a bit unfair, on those teams that have got you look in previous years that they've been given the coverage and everything, the previews and stuff. And as soon as we got to the game, it was like just a quick 5 minutes on each team, and then suddenly game on. It's just, I think the coverage was a little bit of a letdown, if I'm being totally honest. And I feel a bit for the supporters of all the clubs, to be honest.
Just one thing, and I agree with all of that, by the way. But and I'm not trying to balance this for the sake of it, but I'm just going to say this in defence of TNT. As far as I know, with less than a week to go to this game, it was not due to be on TV. They took it late. They took a late option. I think it wasn't being covered. And so I think I don't think there was a lot of time to prepare, maybe to get all the resource behind it that they might have done otherwise. So, and they did get Aaron McLean, who's perfect for it.
I love Aaron McLean.
And so I think I didn't personally know, I hadn't come across the commentator, Oliver, I think his name was before. But yeah, I just think if we're discussing that point, and it's all valid what you've said, Ben, I think we just need to say that they didn't have a lot of time to plan this. But the camera angle was good. probably people didn't realise that the two smaller clubs that had their final, the FA Vars final earlier. The reality is 80% of those supporters will go either because they just want to get out of there because they lost, or they want to get down the pub and celebrate because they won. You know, so yeah, maybe some more thought could be given to that on another occasion.
Can't believe this as well, Chris. How could you forget that? He met Stuart Pearce after the game and he forgot. How can you do that? No. Is there anything else anybody wants to add on the FA Trophy before we move on?
I think just tapping on the television as well, I think it's poor that the National League has grown so much in the last few years. I think BT Sport, when it was called that, originally got the rights was 2014, I think it was. It was something like that. And the coverage got better and better and better over the years. Then it went to DAZN, and it's not been great from what I've seen on DAZN.
No.
So for it to fall 5 days before this cup final, that someone only then picks it up. I'm glad they got Aaron McLean on it because he does know what he's on about. He's a really good advocate for non-league, so I am happy they got him on it. But I think it's poor from the National League, from the FA, whoever that buck falls with, that it took that long to be televised. It's been a thing for years. The FA Vars final and non-league finals day being a thing has been a thing for years. Obviously, Bromley beat Wrexham in the FA Trophy final a few years ago. Like, it's not a new concept. It's a bit disappointing that something that's grown this much is then forgotten about with the cup side of it. You would have hoped that from the start of the year they know what they're doing. The National League seem to care far more about that National League Cup that we even didn't touch on this podcast. The FA Trophy is a far bigger thing. It ends at Wembley. People care about that cup. It's a bit disappointing from the National League that they care more about the National League Cup that has under 21 teams than the actual FA Trophy that finishes at Wembley. So, yeah, a bit disappointing, but...
Yeah.
Does it come back to the fact that, you know, and it's no disrespect obviously added in the chat and that, but obviously now we haven't got Wrexham and Notts County in, and the National League lost interest because obviously Wrexham are the ones that really pushed for the streaming service. And then now, because, you know, Notts County and Wrexham are both gone, it's almost like the interest has gone a little bit. And, you know, and
I think...
Go for it, Will.
I think I can clear one thing up. It's not the National League's competition. It's the FA's competition. Yeah. So, like I speak quite a bit to Tom Scott, who's the media in charge of the media, the communications at the National League. And, he does. He's not involved with like the accreditation for the final or anything like that. It's not their competition. It's the FA competition. On the plus side, a bit of a comedic moment really here, but if you get there, if your team gets there, let me tell you the money and the resource that goes in from the FA in the media room for all the food is tip top and so much better than the one for the Vanarama National League final.
But I hope we get to Wembley then next year. I want to be pitch side for that. Again, you always say the bucket list dream. That's my bucket list dream. I'd give anything to see Maidstone go to Wembley, even if we lost 4-0. I just want to see us play at Wembley. Like, it's my dream. So hopefully next year in the FA Trophy we'll be able to do that.
Have a word with George.
Have a word with George. He didn't take it seriously this year.
Could we prioritise the FA Trophy over the FA Cup next season, please, George, boss?
Yeah, we've had our FA Cup run. We don't need that anymore. I want a trophy run. We never take it seriously anymore.
Chris put as well, loved it, Rob. Had some ice cream on a very hot day. Oh, I love ice cream. I want to go just for the ice cream now.
I didn't realise, by the way, Chris, that you were in there. So I'm sorry we didn't get to meet. If I'd known that, I would have sought you out and said hello yesterday.
Chris,
and you ate my ice cream, by the way.
I know. I feel like you need to add more to it, Chris. I feel like we've not heard much about the game from your opinion as well. So please send in a match report if you want. If you want to, you don't have to. I feel like I'm peer pressuring him now. And Graham has put as well. Obviously, he's a Charlton fan, hoping to be at Wembley in a couple of weeks. Same. Same.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Right. So, National League. Do you know what, Morgan? We'll talk about the retain list first because I know you did want to mention a little bit on that before we talk about the playoffs. If you'd like to touch on some of the retain lists that you've seen.
Yeah, I've not seen every club do them. I've seen some of them. I saw Sutton do theirs, and there wasn't really anything notable to come from Sutton's. To be fair, they've cut basically their entire core of their squad. Lewis Simp is still there. Will Davis is still there. From what I can remember, Sutton's was pretty core. I think there is the issue if they could possibly lose someone on a transfer, whether that's Simp, whether that's Davies. I think Davies ended on 18 goals. He had a really good year. Lewis Simp is an excellent midfielder, so I could see either of them, whether that's Forest Green, someone in the Football League. I could see Sutton getting slightly picked apart by a bigger club with more resources, which would be interesting to see then how they pivot, who else they go for. So Sutton's wasn't that interesting, but it'll be interesting to see how their summer turns out. The ones I actually got up on my phone beforehand, I've got Solihull's, Eastleigh and Woking's on there. Solihull have done a big clear out. Joe Newton, I mentioned just before we went live, he's gone. He's a very good National League left back, could possibly play a bit higher. So I think that's going to be a big loss. Josh Labady's gone. Manny Dooku's gone, obviously very experienced at York. Obviously you, Adam, Ben. Manny Dooku's one of the weirdest players I think I've ever seen.
I agree with that.
I don't know what else you can touch on, but Manny Dooku's an odd player. Tall, quick, incredibly streaky. Scored great goals for us, but then would go on very cold streaks. Didn't he score for you in the FA Cup?
He never scored for us at all.
I didn't know. Fair enough.
He didn't do anything. But he ran his socks off at Ipswich, so I will give him that, to be fair.
Exactly. He'll run his socks off, maybe score, but then go on very cold streaks. So him being a free agent is going to be interesting. Who else is in that? Gus Mafuta played for York, Boreham Wood. He's been around a little bit. So interesting to see where he ends up. They have kept Jack Stevens, Laurie Walker, Jamie Osborne, Alex Whitmore, Connor Wilkinson, John Bostock. I think John Bostock's available for transfer, but there's a decent core down at Solihull. They had a really poor second half, so their summer's going to be interesting. They've released a lot. Their second half of the season was really, really poor after they lost Andy Wing. So Solihull's an interesting one. I don't know if anyone's got anything else to touch on those two clubs that I've mentioned so far.
Just to say, Sutton have kept 21 players.
Wow.
I can't believe it. That might almost be a record at this league.
Just that Worthing released 5 players, but also released Lucas Kovalam, goalkeeper. He's going at the end of the season. I'm just looking now, just having a quick look now. Liam Nash is going. Ollie Black, Finn Chadwick, Jack Bates, and Cameron Tutt.
There's not really a lot of them. That's not a lot of many of their regulars, if you like. Obviously, Ollie Black, I know, but obviously Liam Nash, that was a big shock because obviously I know he's got a bit of Ricky, hasn't he? So that was a bit of a shock, that was.
Yeah.
He hasn't been there very long as well, Liam, has he? So
No,
he's a player I would have happily taken on board. So yeah, they've done really well. I don't know what money they're paying down there again, bit of Ricky, but they must be throwing in a little bit to get someone like him amongst their ranks for him to drop down a level again. It's interesting.
Exactly, yeah.
I don't know if anyone else wants to touch on the other two, but Eastleigh and Woking both released theirs. Woking have released Dion Kelly-Evans. Obviously, I know he's a bit of a weird one. He can be decent, but he put in a few really rash challenges this year. I can't remember what game it was. He broke someone's leg.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, Chris, you can keep Ollie Dyson. So Dion Kelly-Evans is an interesting one. Decent player, but can be a bit rash. Reece Grego-Cox has gone. He's got some experience. Matt Robinson, midfielder, gone. He's been around. Rowan Ince. They've offered contracts to Will Yaskalainen. It'll be interesting to see if he stays because I've seen some people say that Yaskalainen could go higher. I think Neil Ardley, they'll be able to keep Yaskalainen. They've kept Dale Gorman, Harry Buteman. Inni Effiong's a big one to keep. They've got him under contract. He's really good at this level. He was really good this year. He was a good signing for Braintree earlier in the season. Obviously, they had to let him go. But I think keeping Effiong as just that middle man to run your front line, I think there's quite a good retain list from Woking. I think they'll be quite happy with that, see how they build. Big summer for Ardley, but they've got a lot of players gone, a lot of movement on that squad. That'll be interesting. And then the last one I wanted to touch on was Eastleigh. Joe McDonnell, experienced keeper, he's gone. I think he was at Boreham Wood for a little bit. Obviously been at Eastleigh for a while.
Yeah.
So him leaving's big. Scott Quigley's gone. Was there someone else on there? Chris Maguire's gone. They're losing a few of their strikers. They've kept Paul McCollum. They've offered a contract to Nathan Shakuna. If Shakuna stays, that's really good for them. Signed him mid-season from Tamworth, and he's really talented. So I'll be interested to see if Shakuna stays. Also, Ludwig Francelet, defender, he's really good. So be interesting to see how all 4 of those teams pivot with who they've lost, who they've kept, and kind of how their summer then turns out moving next year.
Honestly, Scott Quigley, I find one of the most frustrating strikers. Obviously, Stockport had him, and under Jim Bentley, we actually had him. And the first few games he played for us, he was absolutely incredible. Like, he was scoring goals for fun. He got injured, and once he came back, he was just so lazy. And he infuriates me so much because he's got so much potential and he has got it. But for some reason, it starts off really well. And then it kind of then hits a downward spiral, and it infuriates me. I just want to shake him because I know he's got the potential there. Claire said the same because obviously she's a Stockport fan. Said exactly the same. So it'd be really interesting to see if he can kind of keep at the National League level or he does take a step below.
He's had a relatively poor season, hasn't he, in terms of his goal return? And I was really surprised when I went to the Silver Lake for Eastleigh and Aldershot. I was really surprised that with Paul McCallum, who was out injured for a couple of months, and on that day, neither Maguire or Quigley started.
Yeah.
You're sort of thinking, wow, I couldn't imagine Aldershot going into a game without two players like that. You know how key those players are. Obviously had the options, but I don't know the full story. At times they both played, didn't they, McCallum and Quigley? And maybe at times the previous season they were more of a threat. Maguire was really at the top of his game as well.
There he was.
And I just haven't seen the name Maguire and Quigley talked about anywhere near as much this year.
No. Be interesting to see, obviously, what happens. Sorry, Ben.
Yeah. So I say just quickly on Woking, I think as well, and I can probably see why Neil Ardley's released a few because I don't know whether their fans' expectations are that they should be going towards the playoffs. So I know they reached it a couple of years ago, didn't they? And maybe some people thought they overachieved a little bit. But I think Neil Ardley, look, he hasn't won promotion at this level, but then again, he has been close on a couple of occasions. I think with Notts County, wasn't it, where they lost in playoff final, I think, to Harrogate, wasn't it? So he's getting, like you say, he's one for getting results, and he's done it in the Football League as well. And it's like, will he be looking at thinking, look, can I, able to attract players to maybe go for a playoff push next year? Because, I mean, to be fair, had you asked me pre-season last year, I thought they were going to go down because we played in pre-season and a lot of their fans were worried that they were going to go down. They were awful when they came to us. I know you can't judge much in pre-season, but I just thought there's no way they're going to survive in the National League with that quality. But they made the change midway through the season and Ardley came in and just sparked his magic straight away. And he'll be looking to really kick on now and keep that momentum going because, like, with his resources and probably his contacts, there's no reason why he can't get a group together to really go for the playoffs next year. But again, it'll be a big summer for Woking. I think they need to get it right, otherwise it could be another relegation scrap again for them.
And just to say, it's not done, Morgan, is it? Because I might have misheard you, but I thought you said they've re-signed Effiong. They've offered him. He's not, unless news has come out in the last couple of days. He's one of several players who've been offered, and we must never take players that have been offered have signed.
I was reading his. I've got it on the thing. I was just reading it. It just said it remained under contract in Effiong.
You might have probably looked at a different source then, so we probably just got slightly conflicting information. I've got just 6 Woking players contracted still, and then about another 8 have been offered terms. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong; I'm not trying to create a drama here. I think they're fairly well backed now, Woking, and I think they'll be able to keep their main players. I'm not suggesting any Effiong's off somewhere else at all. I just hadn't seen an announcement that he's definitely staying. That was all. So, and I guess it's more a question of let's not, as a podcast, let's not get criticised for saying something's fact when maybe it's not quite crossed the line yet. That's the thing. And I'm completely get you. You do your research, Morgan. You've obviously got that from a bit of information from somewhere.
Definitely not. We had angry Southend fans the other day.
I'll start again.
I know. Right. So, National League playoffs. So, the first one we do have is Oldham, Halifax. Who wants to start this one off? Because I feel like I'll be a little bit biased towards Halifax. So, who wants to talk Oldham, Halifax?
It's an interesting matchup, isn't it, between the two of them? Because Halifax, I mean, they probably would have been looking at that last game of the season at Wealdstone again, a bit like what we did at Farnborough a few weeks ago, where I think our minds weren't on it, and clearly, that they knew they were safe in the playoffs. They knew that they were going to have a difficult task going to Oldham anyway. So it's a case of that again, don't get key players injured, to make sure that they're actually available for it. It is going to be a tough ask for them, to be honest. I think Oldham, when they get like a full Boundary Park, I'm not saying it is going to be full, but they get a big crowd there. Their fans do get behind the team, and they'll know that Oldham, this is the best chance they've had of going up since they got relegated from the Football League. So, and it is a very open playoffs. Obviously, I know York will go into it strong favourites, given their points tally, momentum they're going to have going into it. But as we said, look, it doesn't matter. When you look at the playoffs, in the north and the south, it's not been as easy as that. And every team, will give it their best shot. But again, are Oldham under that sort of same pressure maybe that York are at the moment to go up, because I think they've just missed out on a league title. They're again, they're in a position really where they should probably be expecting to get to the final, but it's so hard. It's too hard to call. I think we said last week. I think Oldham should do it, but again, it would not surprise me if Halifax do, because again, Halifax are probably the side in there that are probably thinking, look, we're probably in great respect possible, probably the smallest club out of the six in there. So they're probably thinking to themselves, look, we haven't got that same pressure. We're just going to go out and enjoy it. Look, if we get to the semi-final, absolutely brilliant. But if not, that we carry on for next season. Because for them to be in the playoffs, like I say, they haven't got all the best resources they've got compared to some of those other clubs in that league. So, I think they've done really well, to be fair. I mean, like, to get in this position. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I've already got my DAZN, ticket in that for this week. So I will be trying to catch as much of the playoffs as I can. So, yeah, I will be... Like, let's see how they get on.
Yeah, I think Oldham are going to do it. I think Mike Fondop has a thing for a big occasion. I know he obviously beat you lot in that 1-0. I think if they just pack out Boundary Park, I just don't see anyone beating them, even if it's a close game. It's just in a one-off game. They are going to sell so many tickets for that. Yeah. And I think they have already. I think Oldham are really selling tickets quite well. I just think Halifax is going to go there, just get slightly overawed by the occasion. They don't have the pressure on them, like Ben said, but I just think a packed Boundary Park is going to be really, really difficult for Halifax to deal with. I wonder if it's going to be a case of Sheffield United. Okay. I don't know if it's a case of they're going to get slightly kind of unable to get messages across, and just like, I know that sometimes happens in big games. It's just like the crowd just gets so on top of the away team. It's just almost you're going to be booing every touch, like jeering every touch. It's just like if the Oldham fans are on it, Halifax don't really have a chance. I don't think it might be a close game on the pitch, but I think off the pitch it's going to be Oldham all over, and I think they just do enough to win it.
Yeah, I think I said last week that I said Oldham will probably win, because to me they're still the bigger side.
Yeah,
and I think the occasion may be too much for Halifax, and yeah, I still say Oldham are going to run out. I'm still going to say 3-0.
I've got a slightly different perspective, but before I say it, Morgan, I apologise. I was wrong. I read it wrong, and you're absolutely right. In the FPL contracted for next season, so I could have messaged you privately, but I wanted to hold my hand up and say I got that wrong, and I do apologise for that.
You're good.
The game is a really tricky one. It's an interesting one, and before we went on air, we had a little chat show, and we said we'll get Luke Walsh on this podcast when it's not clashing. And I think he makes a really, really good point. He didn't tell me this in conversation. It was actually a little Twitter exchange with Oldham fans, and he said it would be really interesting to see how that game starts, because he felt that if Oldham score early, they might just go on a little bit like you guys are saying, and they might be so up for the occasion and the crowd, and they might just do it comfortably. But you know what? If they can't get that first goal, or if Halifax get the first goal, if I said to you, who in the National League right now, if they were 1-0 up, who would you back to try and keep a clean sheet? Halifax would be one of the teams you'd throw up, 100%, wouldn't you?
100%.
So I think the first goal always is, but in that game it could be key. And the longer we wait for it, and if Halifax score first or Oldham don't get the ball in the net, I'm sorry, they're very passionate Oldham fans and they're very big in number, but they will turn on their team.
It can turn very hostile, can't they, Oldham fans? We've seen it many a time this season. And as I mentioned last week, especially towards Mickey Mellon, there's a few of them that are already on his back. Some of them even want him out, which I don't really understand. So yeah, I'm in total agreement, because it's really good having that crowd for you when you're winning and to support you. But as we've mentioned, they can turn very, very quick, and it can be very hostile there. It really can.
I mean, Mickey Mellon's a bit like Marmite, really. You either love him or you hate him, really. And look, I think that I can get probably the frustrations behind it. But then again, look, this is the games that he built towards, and he's done it at this level, with a much bigger challenge, I think, in Tranmere, because the expectations of those fans, were huge in terms of getting out of that league. And I always remember the playoff final against Boreham, where they went down to 10 men after about 60 seconds, and you think, well, that's it, they're done. And then, they go and win the game 2-1 in the most unbelievable fashion, to be honest. And he's got players there. I think they've still got James Norwood, haven't they, there? So that they've got that experience that, have done it there for them in the past, and they will be used to this occasion. Whereas a few of those Halifax players might be a new thing for them, and that's the thing, would the pressure get to him. But I think Rob's right in terms of what he says, that if they can keep them quiet, and it really all does depend if they can get off to a good start, because if they concede in the first 5-10 minutes, could be a very long evening for them. But I think you've just got to keep it tight for the first half hour if you can, get it 0-0, and then if they can sneak in a chance, that's the thing. It's going to be one of those, they might get limited chances, but when they do, they've got to take them. But then again, like I say, Oldham fans are, known for getting, obviously, getting on the players' backs and everything like that. And because they know that they're not a National League club, they know they should be paying higher. And, that this is the time of year now where the pressure gets to everyone. You think, look, we want to go up because this might be the best chance. You never know how next season's going to go. This is the thing in football, there's no guarantees. So they might be thinking it could be our only chance for the next fair few years. So they've got to take it with open arms, but it is going to be an intriguing battle between the two of them.
I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Oldham as well, and especially with the money that they spent this season, compared to obviously the likes of Halifax and other people in the playoffs. I think it'll be I just think there won't be much in the game, though. I don't think it'll be a very high-scoring game. I think it'll be quite a scrappy one. As we mentioned, Halifax and their defence as well. But yeah, I think it'll be quite a scrappy game myself. But we shall see. I'm usually often wrong with predictions. We've got our very own Jen. She's put, hello, you beautiful bunch. Missing you all tonight. We miss you too. Aled has put, Halifax have been in the playoffs while Wilder was manager, so it depends how many of that squad is still around.
Not many from that squad.
No. On Wednesday and Thursday night, two sides will be one hurt and the other will be in joy. Hoping I'm not one hurting. We will get on to that now. I'm not going to have my say yet. I'm going to let everyone else have their say first.
Oh,
Rob.
sure. I was going to ask if you would go first.
Come on,
I'm not going first. Rob, I'm going to put you on the spot now. Talk to us, Rochdale, Southend.
Yeah, well, I think I might see it differently to some of the opinions I've seen about this. I've seen an awful lot of people, and I agree that because Southend came in at the last minute, there was a lot of pressure and expectation to be in the playoffs, but it looked like they may do it, they may not, and then they came across the line perfectly, didn't they? And I agree with the fact that now the pressure's kind of off them. It feels like a bit of a free hit, but they've got potentially two very tough away games to play if they progress. I can only go on my own experience of Rochdale, Shah, and you know what that is. It's they wiped the floor with Aldershot performance-wise at the EBB and won 2-0 as comfortably as anybody did all season. And they were really, really on it when they played Aldershot 6 weeks ago at Spotland. So I personally, when I've seen Rochdale, have been super impressed with them. I know it's not always going like that week in, week out. But Southend's and Aldershot games are pretty tight. They tend to play, some people would say, quite a similar way. They like to have a lot of the ball and move it around. and Southend don't always have that attacking thrust. They don't always score lots of goals. They rarely get beaten. But I think it'll naturally be a close game. And I think with Rochdale at home and with Rochdale, if they play how they can play and have played on occasions recently, I'm going to back them, Shah. I'm sorry. I hope that doesn't put the mockers on them. But I think Rochdale might come through this, scoring at least a couple of goals. So maybe 2-0, maybe 2-1. I'm going to go Rochdale.
Who wants to go next? It's not me.
It's a difficult one because, that's the thing. I think you'd probably be honest, Shah. I think the only thing maybe that might hold Rochdale back in this is they've struggled against the top sides at home this season, haven't they?
Yeah, 100%.
They've taken a couple of beatings from the likes of Barnet and York. And I think, but maybe on this occasion, like we always say, the league form goes out the window. It is now cup football for Rochdale. And look, they've known to get results in these sort of games in the past. This is not their first experience of playoffs, and it won't be the last. And the only thing maybe that holds Southend in good stead is the fact that they do go into some momentum in terms of the fact that you see the scenes they had at Gateshead. You think look, their players now will be thinking, look, we've got in it now. We're not here to make the numbers. We want to go and make the most of the opportunity. Otherwise, all that celebrating was for nothing. So that's the thing. I think it's one of those, again, a bit like the Oldham and Halifax game. I think Rochdale have got to keep it tight because they know that they're probably going to have to weather maybe a storm in the early stages of the game. I think Southend are probably going to start fast, I would have thought. But then, but then again, if they just keep defensively resolute, there's always a chance. And when you've got, Devante Rodney, and Karen Mitchell, I know he's been criticised by certain supporters and that, but look, you've got someone that's scored 20 odd goals this season, for Rochdale. So look, this is the games now he'll relish, and it is too tight to call. And I think. I'd be silly now to go back on my opportunity. You can't give me an ice bucket challenge now, Charles, because I've already done it. So I'm going to stick with Southend. But it is, again, a bit like Oldham Halifax. It is going to be very low scoring. I think it might be a 1-0 game, to be honest. But again, if Rochdale were to beat Southend, it really wouldn't surprise me at all, because look, they'll be thinking now, this is a great chance. And for everything that's gone on at the club in the last couple of years, and especially in the last month or so with Joe Thompson and everything, like everyone's going to be together now as one. And Jim McNulty will drill that into the players, I'm sure. So I think they'll certainly give a good account of themselves. But I think Southend might just do it. But really, it depends what Rochdale side turns up for me.
100%, I agree. Morgan Lee, who wants to say now?
Well, Morgan.
While people were talking, I was just having a scroll through Southend's end to the year and just having a look at that. I know form goes out the window. It's a one-off game. But in the last few months, Southend lost away at Maidenhead. They drew with Tamworth, drew 2-2 with Yeovil, drew away at Forest Green. They drew away at Sutton. They put 4 past Ebbsfleet away, which, fair enough, it's Ebbsfleet. They did score 4 that day. And then on the last day, they obviously drew away at Gateshead. But that record away from home the last few months, is that a cause for concern for Southend fans? Is it a case of they can't quite get it done when it matters? The Gateshead one, obviously, I know that was Southend just have to get a draw to get into the playoffs. But is there a case of Gateshead had nothing going for them and Southend still couldn't beat a Gateshead team that had no momentum, massive issues behind the scenes? Is there a case that Southend can't do it away from home in the last 3 months? I don't want to kind of do too much to your nerves, Sharp, but I think this goes to extra time. I think this ends in a draw after 90 minutes. And I think you're going to hate me for saying it, because I think you're going to have heart palpitations at Spotland. But
hopefully after my pie.
But I think this could end 1-1 or 2-2. I think both teams have enough in them to score, but there could be an error in there somewhere. And I think we're saying 2-2 extra time, and then it can be a bit weird. I'm going to back Southend on penalties, because Rochdale lost on penalties to Spennymoor. That's the only thing I have going for this. Your recent penalty record isn't the best. I think Southend 2-2, they do enough to get a draw away from home, and then they do it on penalties because Rochdale crumble. Really sorry, because that's going to ruin your evening. You're going to have heart palpitations and lose it on penalties. Not how you want your season to end. But I think right now that's what I'm thinking.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Do not worry. Lee?
Well, like I said last week, I see Rochdale winning it. I don't think it's going to go to penalties. I think you will win it in normal time. Like you said, Southend, they got in there near enough on the last day, just snuck in there. But I think, I still think it's going to be Rochdale's day. And I reckon you'll be seeing them in the final.
So Shah, drum roll, please. If it was BGT, right, or X Factor, the judges have gone 2 each. So you've got the deciding vote.
Well, I said out of every team, I didn't want to play Southend. We drew at their place early. We drew at their place 1-1, I think it was, and then they actually beat us 1-0 at home. I'm happy we've got a home tie because our home form, I know what home goes out the window and form, goes out the window. But we've been really, really good at home. The only thing is, and I mentioned it last week, on big occasions, when we sell the tickets, when people come out, we often crumble. I don't know what it is, but we often crumble. So that's one aspect that I'm really worried about. Obviously, Southend, you can never write Southend off. I respect Kevin Mayer massively. Like what he's done. Obviously the last few seasons, especially going through all these troubles money-wise and stuff with the small squad he has, I respect him and what he's done at Southend. They're no pushovers either, Southend. They are in it for a reason. They deserve to be there. I feel like with us, you can't write us off, especially I mentioned last week with our forward line. Jay Bird's back from injury as well now. We've seen what he can do. Obviously, we've got him on loan from Exeter. We've got Devante Rodney back, Ian Henderson. Like, if anybody is going to score in a big occasion, you cannot write Hendo off. Obviously, we've got Cairo Mitchell as well. You've obviously got the likes of Adi Barlow, who's been in great form since he came back from injury. We've got the good thing is that now Liam Hogan and Ryan East are back from injury. So we've actually got like pretty much a really good core, like decent squad back. Taryn Alarakia, obviously Toby Adebayo rolling down the wings. They're massive for us. They're key for us. And I think they could really pile on the pressure to Southend's defence. The only thing is, with us, even though we have Ayinde as well, I missed out Leon Ayinde, like what he can do as well since he came back from injury is absolutely brilliant. But I feel like with us, we are our own worst enemies. Like, as everyone saw against that Spennymoor game, we are our own worst enemies. I can never back against my own team, and I'm always going to root for Rochdale. I'm going to pick them now because I cannot do that. But as you all mentioned, you do not know what Rochdale you are going to get on the day. Like, if we show up, we could easily go and win pretty comfortable because, as you've seen as well, Rob, you've seen like Rochdale when they've been in great form, playing really good football. But then on the other side of that, Morgan, you've seen it when we've played. Obviously, you guys played brilliant that game. You scored 4 past us, I think it was, wasn't it? But you've seen us not perform as well. So I'm never gonna bet against my own club. I'm gonna root for us, but it's gonna be a very, very tough game. A very tough game. It just depends, obviously, what Rochdale are gonna show up. But I think it's really promising now that we have got a really good side there, because if I were Jim McNulty, I wouldn't know who to pick because we've got like players coming back. The only thing what does kind of worry me as well is after we've had quite a long break, like we have done, that's when momentum can suddenly slow down. And that's where we've had a lot of problems, especially when obviously it's taken into consideration with our pitch and the newer games getting called off left, right and centre. It took its toll on us in the past. So I hope this break hasn't kind of ruined any of that. But as you mentioned as well, Ben, and as I mentioned last week, we kind of do have that story behind us compared to the rest of the other teams in the playoffs with Ian Henderson's last season. Obviously, the sad news what happened with Joey Thompson as well. I know the players, managers, fans want to do it for Joey. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, we will come out as winners, but it's going to be really difficult. I'm a humble fan.
All you can really ask for, Shah, in that situation is you just want, and this is what McNulty will want, just go out there, those players, whichever 11 he picks to start the game.
Yeah.
And very often some of those that finish the game are just as important, you know. You just can hope that they're going to be the best version of themselves on the day. That's all you can
100%.
ask. And if they do that, then you'll live with the result come what may. You just hope that they don't have an off day in the playoffs. And I know exactly what you're saying. If the poorer version or the nervous version or the not so good version of Rochdale turns up, then they're going to be under serious threat. Who would you have preferred? I know this is a bit contentious and it's hypothetical, but you said you just didn't want Southend in the playoffs. Would you have been happier if you were at home to Halifax or Oldham?
I think I would have been more happier. Every game's a tough game, don't get me wrong. But I think I would have been slightly more happier with Halifax because I've seen us take 4 points from them this season. And even at their place, I feel like we should have beat them at their place. I know, as we mentioned, form and everything goes out the window. But just from this season and seeing like our games, I feel like Halifax would have been a better kind of match. But like we all say, it's the playoffs. Everyone's there for a reason, aren't they? Like everyone deserves to be there. It's like 3 cup finals at the end of the day. You obviously this game on Thursday, the semi-final, and then if you do get to the final, it is like 3 cup finals. But yeah.
Can you just confirm for us, Shah, whoever progresses out of Rochdale and Southend, they go where? Did they go to York or did they go to Forest Green, please?
Forest Green.
Right.
Forest
so you're not going head to head with Morgan just yet then?
Not yet. Not yet.
We've got the Wembley showdown.
Yeah.
I am not looking forward to that. If it does happen, I'm not looking forward to a game against York.
I say on a big Wembley pitch, on a big Wembley pitch as well. I think we could be quite good at Wembley. I don't want to say anything too early if we even get there, but things could line up quite nicely. I have realised I backed you lot last week. On last week's pod, I said, "Oh yeah, Rochdale. I think they'll do it." And then I've just completely contradicted myself and said I think Southend will do it this week. So I don't know anymore.
No, to be fair though, things can change, can't they? Like with me and stuff. Like I'm not confident at all. But it's only because I've seen the proper Rochdale show up where we can go and demolish a team. But then part of me is like, big crowd. We've got it all in our favour, as in like we've got the crowd behind us. We've got a full strength squad pretty much back. Will that like bite us on the ass? Because we've seen that happen before, obviously against Spennymoor. I think I've just got PTSD from Spennymoor. I think that's what's holding me back a little bit.
I think because they've had this break now in between, I think it's taken the sting out of everything. So people tend to look on things a bit differently now. Because if it were going straight in Wednesday night from a Saturday game, then I would understand people's like feelings about it. But now I think everyone, in the past now are going to be slowly confident about themselves because they've had that break and everyone's going to feel refreshed. And I don't know. And then you're just going out like it's an FA Cup third round tie, isn't it? Like that's what it'll be the feeling like. It's really strange. It is. I think that's been the same for the playoff finals as well and everything that's coming up. It's just everything's just been the momentum and sting have just been taken out of everything. So whether that plays any part on in the next couple of nights, it's there to be seen.
Right, we shall see anyway. We shall see. So the next one that we do want to preview, Ben, I will come to you first. Obviously, the National League South final, Boreham Wood, Maidstone. What are you thinking?
It's difficult. Like I just said, I think because the momentum's gone out of it a little bit, it's too hard to call. Both sides have sort of kept themselves to themselves over the last couple of weeks. There's not been much media presence, I think, from both clubs because they're probably trying to keep their cards close to their chest at the moment, and it's totally understandable because it is now winner takes all. And in Boreham Woods, if you're looking at their perspective, they will be quietly confident. The form going into it. I think they've won 7 on the bounce now. They're scoring a lot of goals. They've changed their shape ever since they last played us, which is obviously their last defeat. So again, how we'll cope with that, it'll be interesting. They've got a lot of experience in that team, and if they have the likes of Chris Bush in that back line for them, then they're going to be more solid defensively. Whereas if he doesn't play, then we've got every chance to hurt him, because one thing they really struggled against us with in both games we've played him is our physicality in the box from set pieces, because they just could not deal with us whatsoever. So if they have Chris Bush in there, that probably gives them a chance. But again, from our perspective, look, I think we're under no pressure. For me, look, I think. Don't get me wrong, we're all in the same mindset now. We want to go up because we've got this far now, and I'll be absolutely devastated, obviously, if we don't go up. But look, if we don't, it's not a major disaster, but the only thing that it sticks in my mind is the fact that we don't go up. Next year's National South is going to be so much more difficult, I think, just because of the likes of Dagenham, Maidenhead, Ebbsfleet all coming down. You're going to have Chelmsford are going full time next year. They brought in Angelo Harrop, so they're going to be right up there. I wouldn't put it past Hemel as well to put a good run together with now Lee Allison in charge. It's just there's going to be about 9, maybe 10 teams that think they've got a chance of going up, which it doesn't happen most years in this division. You sort of always know who's going to be in there, but it's so hard to call. So there's that aspect to think about. I mean, we're going to be missing Charlie Seaman. Obviously, got sent off in the semi-final against Eastbourne. He's going to be a massive miss for us. He's been one of our most outstanding players. When we brought him back in the summer, I was so pleased because we'd had him a couple of occasions. We had him during COVID, and he's such a good young player. He's played at a much higher level, and he's probably one of the best technical players we've got in the side. But we have got players that can step in. We've got the likes of Harry Kipriano, who's just come back from injury. He's only played about 3-4 games since he's come back, been off for a year. So he's still catching up in fitness. But again, I would trust him if we did put him in, because he's, for me, the best player at the football club on the ball. He's the calmest player on the ball. So if we had to call up his services, we'd obviously have to change shape. But George Fowler can always slip to right back. He's always been good in that position. And so far, by the looks of it, squad-wise, we're looking good. I'm just hoping we're going to have Tom Leahy available. Obviously pulled out of the warm-up in the semi-final against Eastbourne. So, he'd be a big miss if we don't have him back. We're hoping to have Sam Corn back, hopefully. He's only been about 50% for a number of weeks now, but he's been struggling with a calf injury. So I just hope that because it's now a one-game thing, he might be able to just give it a go, because at the end of the day, we know that Sam Corn's qualities are he will run and run and run, and that's what we need a little bit. And, against side like Boreham Wood, who are going to have lots of legs. So I still got the confidence that it's going to be our day. I just got the feeling like that we've sold 1,000 tickets, which is a massive credit. They were sold out in minutes. They were from the club, and we could have easily taken maybe 1,500, maybe even 2,000 to be honest if we wanted to. But say it's Boreham Wood's home fixture, so we were quite lucky to get 1,000 off them. To be fair, which we're grateful for. It's going to be a cracking atmosphere. To be fair, look, it's completely sold out. I think it's 4,000. It's too tough to call, but if I'm a betting man, I just think with our defence, everything this year, they've just shown that every obstacle has been put in their way, bar maybe a couple of games. They've really stepped up to the plate. And against Boreham Wood, they've done that twice this season. So hopefully, third time to charm as well, that we'll do it again. But look, it's whoever the best team is on, and whoever holds their nerve. But I'm hoping it's going to be us, because I just think that the players have shown enough to go up now.
Go and lie down now. Go and lie down now.
The next week would be nice.
It must be agony for you how elongated these playoffs are. Obviously, Morgan said earlier he's got a totally different way of dealing with it and just like cutting it out. I'll give you a much quicker preview, really. Obviously, I'm not so emotively involved in this one like you are, Ben. I obviously watched Boreham Wood up close and personal against Dorking in the most bonkers playoff game that we've seen so far. I love the togetherness I see at Maidstone. I think there's some continuity in what I call the Grimsby way, that you've been away from home twice and come through. I think that's the biggest feel-good factor that makes me think you could do it. And then I see a whole host of reasons why Boreham Wood under Luke Garrard and his experience as a manager and the experience of players and the quality of players like Nathan Ashmore and Femi Ilasami, and you could go on through the Boreham Wood team. I can't call it. And so I'm going to say level, extra time and penalties. And no, I'm not going to give you who's going to win a penalty shootout. That's just bonkers, really. I will say that somebody I know very well, and he's a bit of a hero at Maidstone. For him personally, I'd love to see him prevail, and that's George Fowler, who was a great servant at Aldershot, and he's been a wonderful servant at Maidstone. And I loved his speech on the pitch after the end of the season, where he wound up everybody there. And the last game, I'm off. And there was a visible groan around the stadium. And he went, "No, I'm only joking. I've signed a new contract today."
Even I was confused by that because I knew about it before the game even started. I thought, well, hang on, has he changed his mind here? I was actually I had to think about it for a few seconds, but I thought, no, George Fowler's a joke. He's going to say something now on the end of that.
He's my favourite Stones player. I've said it many times on the pod. I've adopted him on here.
It could be the match winner. I mean, look, I think there's one thing I forgot to point out is obviously I mentioned it to you, Shara. Did look, I think this obviously in the whole since the National League's playoff system was extended back in 2017, no seventh place side from the National League North, or National League South has ever achieved promotion. So we could become that first side to do it. And, that's history. Obviously, we'd love to create. And obviously, it would give everyone the right thing. Look, that's why this was extended, because it is everyone's game. And a couple of sixth place sides have done it in the past. But for a seventh place side to do it, especially when we finish 7 points off sixth place, it would be an incredible achievement for the club to do it. Look, I'm desperate to get to the National League. Like this, I've always said I would much rather get battered by the likes of your Rochdales, your Morecambes, rather than beating, no disrespect here to the likes of Ebbsfleet, beating them like 2-0, because it's all about going to these big grounds and playing, these big teams. Like that's what we strive to be as a club. And National League is, for me, our natural level, but we need investment to back it up. And I've said before that if we win on Sunday, obviously the fears will be that, well, hang on, are we going to come straight back down again? Or is something actually going to change this time? Because that's the worry around the club. We failed last time we went to National League completely. We got everything wrong. And this is going to be a tough ask for us. If we do go up, there's going to have to be a lot of changes, because a lot of those players might not cut it at the National League level. I think we could keep his core a bit, but I think there'd have to be a lot of change. So it really does depend. It's so hard to predict at this stage of the season now, where everything's on the line. You've had a couple of weeks off, but look, I believe in George. George, strives. He loves these big games. This is what, as a club, we've always been so good at over the years, is big games in one-off games. And hopefully, again, this might just be another one of those days where we'll remember for the rest of our lives. But hopefully, I'll be celebrating with a beer in enjoyment rather than commiserating myself with about 3 on the way back, thinking what might have been.
Ben, how much do you look at those? You said those one-off games, and what put Maidstone on the map in recent years is that cup run. Those games against the likes of Ipswich. How much are you thinking about that? Obviously, I know you don't want to get too much into your own head. There's still 6 days until the game. Like, you don't want to just sit here and just spiral about what might happen. But how much is the Maidstone fan base, yourself, George Elacobi, how much is that playing into this? Because you've just done a couple of other away wins to get here. Obviously, you had to do the eliminate. You had to do the semi-final. You're coming into this final with trying to do the only team to do 7th place to promotion. But you've always done it with big games. How much is that playing into the whole Maidstone club, the fan base? How much are people talking about it?
I mean, everyone's obviously, under the same impression. The fact that the supporters put a lot of pressure on the club. Because obviously our last entry into the National League was an absolute disaster, and everyone wants to get back there as soon as possible. But like I say, in these one-off games, even before George Elacobi came, we've always been wants to turn up. There's been very few big games over the years where I think we haven't turned up. Even when we've gone, when we've played in recent years in the FA Cup to the likes of Blackpool and Milton Keynes, we took the lead at both those sides, at half time, and then we just only slipped away a little bit in the second half. But we've never gone, in very recent times, we haven't gone anywhere to big games and disgraced ourselves, I think, personally. Even the Coventry game, I wouldn't look at it as saying we disgraced ourselves that night. I think, look, they were just a bit more quality than us in the right areas, which we knew was going to happen. But look, the fans have experienced so many good times since we've been back in the town, and that's the thing, that we've had some great FA Cup runs. We've won a couple of league titles. We've won playoff games in the past. I mean, the kit I'm wearing now is from our last playoff final, which we wore. We played 9 years ago against Ebbsfleet. In the most, for me, before the Ipswich game, it was my most favourite game of all time because we had to come back from behind twice. We scored in the final seconds of extra time and penalties as well. Lee Morgan pulled out an absolute blind save and Danny Kedwell when it's already scored twice in the game. And that's the thing; those sort of memories just stick with you and think, look, hang on, that we are very good at these situations. We handle occasions well. The fan base, our fans get right behind the team in these games, and that's the thing. You're going to hear probably more of our fans than you will hear Boreham Wood on Sunday. That's for sure, because they will be backing these boys every step of the way. I think the feeling amongst the club is confident. Of course they will be, but there is, like I say, there is that fear in the back of your mind. Being, look, Boreham Wood are a very good side. Luke Garrow is an exceptional manager at this level, and he's come back to finish almost what he started a little bit and put the rights to the wrongs from last season. And he'll be doing absolutely everything in his power to stop us from achieving promotion. And with their home advantage on that pitch of theirs, got a lovely pitch down there. It may give them that slight advantage, but at the same time, we've taken 4 points up and we've already got it psychologically, for us in this game already. But that's the thing. Boreham Wood were thinking, no, we don't want to lose them again. So they will come out for it and start fast. We've got to make sure we're ready for that.
So from a Worthing point of view, Boreham Wood. But no, I got to say, I think Maidstone are going to do it. I think, like you said, sold 1,000 tickets. Your fans are going to be up for it. They're going to be singing, and yeah, like you said, just look at this as a cup run now. You've had your games. You've got to where you are, and Maidstone do cup runs better than anybody. So I'm still back in Maidstone. I'm still going to say 2-1 Maidstone, normal time.
I'll take that.
Right. Next game is obviously Scunthorpe Chester. Who wants to take the lead on this one?
I'll take it as a bit of a northern representative. I think it's been a weird one because I know we touched on it last week as well, talking about kind of how many tickets Chester had sold and kind of how they'd got there with late goals, and Scunthorpe in terms of the year they've had and how close that title race was. I think Scunthorpe do it again. I think just having, like, Glanford Park is big. They're going to sell, obviously sold out, and they went into, just got the fixture up here. They've ended last 3 games. They beat Peterborough 5-0. They beat Hereford 1-0 on the last day. They beat Chorley 4-2 in the semi. If you can hit 4 in a semi-final with some of the quality that they showed, Callum Roberts is not a National League North player. He is far too good for that division. I know he's had his injury struggles, but I just think Scunthorpe, I think Luke's just said it there, like 3-1. I think that's probably what I'm going to lean with. They both have the ability to score goals, but I think Scunthorpe will hit 2 or 3, and quite early, I think, as well. I think it could be 2-0 up at any point. I think Scunthorpe are just going to come out absolutely firing. If they do what they did last year, it will be close to embarrassing, I think. Obviously, losing to Boston last year was bad. If they repeat it and lose in back-to-back home playoff finals, then I would worry for everyone in Scunthorpe. Like, I don't know how you come back from that mentally as a fan to see your club do that. I think Scunthorpe do it. I think they get over the hump of last year. Whether we are having this conversation after the 18th of May saying how Scunthorpe lost back-to-back finals here, we don't know. Are they going to put the ghost to bed? Maybe. I think they do. I think they just come out absolutely firing. They hit 2 or 3 and Chester just can't deal with it. I think Chester are going to be very good next year, but I think it's a little too soon. The National League North is going to be tough next year. Chorley is still going to be in there. Kings Lynn is still going to be in there. Buxton is still going to be in there. Fylde aren't going to be any pushovers, even if they don't keep Horton. That league's going to be tough. I think Chester could be the ones that possibly win the title next year. They don't go up this year, but I think they could win the title next year. But I think Scunthorpe do it this year. I think Luke's 3-1 is what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, I agree with you, Morgan. I think I said last week, Scunthorpe win it. Be too much for Chester. And like I said, Chester next season though could have a good run in the league. and potentially go up automatically. But yeah, I'm going to go Scunthorpe. And I agree with Luke 3-1.
Yeah, I think Scunthorpe for me. I think this needs to be the start of the revival for them, because this is a level they should have never have got to in the first place. I think you found that the National North is such a ruthless league. Just look at what happened to Kidderminster Harriers in the last couple of weeks, where they've gone from being one win away from winning the league to going out of the playoffs at the first attempts to a goal in the last 10 minutes. It's very unforgiving, and Scunthorpe will be fully aware of that. Like Morgan says about the Boston defeat last year. They've got to show up, and this is the thing. Again, they'll have a massive following behind it. Albeit Chester, I think, are taking 1,500 down there. It'll make an unbelievable atmosphere, and it should be a credit for both teams and for the league as well. But I just have that feeling that Scunthorpe won't let this opportunity slip by this time. I think this is just too big of an opportunity to let them slip by. And if their players are on it, and like you say, they've got players in there that have played a much higher level, the likes of Whitehall, you've got like I say Callum Reynolds, who was Callum Roberts, who was outstanding at Notts County, a good few years ago. They've got enough in there in that squad to do it. And I think, like Morgan's right in saying about like Chester, I think they are starting to knock on the door now of promotion. They've been a bit mediocre in the last maybe 4 or 5 years, but they haven't really got over the line or even getting into the playoff areas. I just think maybe they've got to have maybe another year or two in this division to really get themselves in that mix, and then when they go up, they can sustain themselves as a National League club. But I think it's just a bit too soon for them. So I'm going to go with Scunthorpe on this one, but again, I think there'll probably be a 2-0 for this one.
It's about time someone went for Chester then, isn't it?
I went from last week, so I'm sticking by my guns.
Listen, I think, and you tell me if I'm wrong, I think there's a vulnerability about Scunthorpe that Oldham have got and Rochdale have got. And there's that kind of that pessimism that comes out. We're going to screw it up. Scunthorpe United, they should not be at this level. They shouldn't have dropped to this level. They then shouldn't have been losing at home to Boston last season. And with the greatest of respect for Brackley, who I am absolutely delighted are up, because it's going to be my nearest game next year. I live in Cambridge here. It's 45 minutes away. Hurrah. I'm glad they've won the National League. But with the greatest of respect to Brackley, Scunthorpe, the size of club that they are, the playing squad that they've got, they should have been winning the league this year, and they didn't. So all those vulnerabilities, you can't just ignore them, McIntyre, isn't it? The Chester manager got a bit niggled at the start of the season because a few of us and myself and Joe Pope on the Off the Line blog and others as well that comment on the non-league game thought that Chester might win the league. To be honest, I didn't do it with any great depth of knowledge. They're just the team I picked that I thought under his management and with the players they got that might do it. Now, they didn't do it. They've had a funny old season, haven't they, where they really got a lot of stick, and he got a lot of stick at the start of it, but they've gradually got back on track. And I just wonder if they might play on that vulnerability of Scunthorpe and somehow by hook or by crook win a very tight game. So I'm going to go with Chester.
That was exactly what I was saying last week. I think the pressure will be too much for Scunthorpe, similar to us in Oldham as well. The crowds and thingy. Obviously, it can be on your side when everything's going well, but it can also go against you when everything's not going well. And I just feel there's a lot less pressure on Chester. No one's really expecting them. They are the underdogs, so that's why I went for them as well last week.
Spot on. Yeah, spot on. I think we've sniffed out the same thing there, you and I, Shah. But I like that. Football's all about opinions. It's great with 5 of us on that we're largely going sort of 3. We're ending up going 3-2. These playoffs are all, so tight to call whichever one we're looking at and talking about.
Mixed bags for them all. But yeah, that is the end of a football chat. And I just want to say thank you to each and every person that's been in the chat. Obviously, you guys as well. It's always a pleasure. Ben, where can everybody find you on socials, apart from doing an ice bucket challenge?
Apart from looking at ice bucket challenge and me being freezing cold in water, you can find me Ben Sims FC1 on Twitter. If any tweets come out this week, I can dare say I'll have really shaky hands as I'm doing it in the lead up to Sunday. But yeah, just always want to say is good luck to the players on Sunday. And, go and leave everything out on the pitch. So up the Stones. Let's do it for the club.
Morgan, where can everybody find you?
Everyone can find me on Twitter as well, at @_Morgan_Bruce, where I'll be seeing what other retained lists come out, and then waiting just to see who we play in the semi-final for a sold out semi-final.
Lee, where can everybody find you?
So everyone can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, and it is Football League Adventures.
And if he gets 200 more followers, viewers, he'll have 3,000. Well done, Lee, for
yes, go and do it
in the numbers that you have.
Love that. Rob, where can everybody find you and the podcast as well?
The podcast, NL Full-Time. I'm at RobShot66, but I want to really talk more from the NL Full-Time podcast in this 30 seconds or so. Joe Pope, who I just mentioned, and Richard Wharton, who's involved with Telford, were not quite alongside me, but also in the media box at Wembley yesterday. And they have put together, with Luke Edwards editing it right now, a wonderful kind of souvenir of the FA Trophy final. Sorry, Chris, I know you probably won't want to listen to it from the fact that you didn't prevail, and I get that. Shots fans, you really want to listen to it because it encapsulates everything we heard from fans and people involved with the club beforehand. Joe and Dickie had a go at in-game commentary, and only the good comments and the funny bits, and that made the cut. And then after the game, they caught up with a lot of key personnel as well. I'm hearing from Luke, who's been doing the edit, that Joe, who led that and is hosting for the first time, has done a cracking job. So I'm expecting that podcast to come out later tonight. NL Full-Time FA Trophy special.
Everybody follow, listen, and we will also be retweeting that as well on the podcast, and I'll do it on my own as well.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I can't wait to listen to it. I love things like that. Like from the day and everything. They're really good souvenirs, as you mentioned. I do love that.
And I totally left. I mean, this is hard for me because I'm the host of that podcast, but we divvied it up and I left it. So they did have a little chat with me before the game. That's all. But other than that, it's Joe and Dickie running the show. And I think that's good, isn't it? It's great to get different people to come forward and lead.
Definitely.
Rather than the same person or people all the time. So that's good.
Love that. I love this comment as well from Graham, bless him. He's obviously a Charlton fan. He's put soaking in all this non-league knowledge like a sponge. Love the show and glad there's a dedicated non-league show now. You're all brilliant. Thank you, Graham. You're brilliant too. You're brilliant too. But yeah, if anybody does want to follow me, I am SharXRAFC. That is on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. My Her Game 2 stuff is Rochdale HDT. Oh, I'm anxious for Thursday, so there might be either no tweets from me or there'll be loads of anxiety tweets. I am really, really, really anxious for Thursday. But yeah, we have the most important ones out of them all. We have Absolute Football Podcast, Best New Content Creator at the Football Content Awards. Still surreal, still hasn't sunk in. But we have now 4 live shows on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. On a Monday, as you all know, is Absolutely Non-League. On a Tuesday is the Absolutely Premier League show with Sam and the team. Absolutely Women's Football is on a Wednesday with Freya and Team Chaos. And then on Thursday, Absolutely Lower League. I will not be there, everyone. I've got a better offer this week. I don't know if I'll be gutted though at the end of it, but our very own Ant, bless him, is talking about the playoff games. I don't know who else will be on there, but you will have a show. I just won't be on there. And obviously that is on the Thursday. On Twitter, because I refuse to call it X, we are Absolute Ball Pod. YouTube and Twitch, we are Absolute Football Podcast. TikTok, we are Absolute Football Pod. On Instagram, we are Absolute Football Podcast _. Blue Skies, Absolute Football. And on Facebook, we have Absolute Football Podcast. Again, I just want to thank each and every person for following not just this show, but all the shows as well. It's really nice because we get the same people in and they support us throughout all 4 shows, which I think is amazing. Like the community that we have obviously built. We really appreciate it too if not only you follow the podcast socials, but you could also follow everyone else's content on the show as well. And we were mentioning off air, we're just one big football community, and we love like promoting other people, what they do. And if anybody like in the chat, if you do have your own content, please let us know, because we're always more than willing to participate or share that as well. That's what I love about football. You meet lots of new people, like one big community, even though we all follow different teams, different leagues and stuff as well. It's just great, isn't it?
Yeah, brilliant. Have a great rest of the week, guys. Ben, good luck at the weekend. Shah, good luck on Thursday.
I know. Thank you to everyone. Graham as well in the chat, Charlton fan. So good luck to each and every person in the playoffs, apart from Southend fans. I'm sorry. I love you really, but just for this week. But have a great week, everyone, and take care. Bye.